Alright, so tonight we are trying a rather interesting relic, namely Catacomb Abyss, which is one of the evolutions of the game that was a predecessor of such more illustrious and much better known titles as Wolfenstein 3D and Doom by extension, as we see 3D imaging effects by ID Software. This was based on even earlier game called Hover Tank 3D, and after that they made several games with the Catacomb something, naming them creatively Abyss, Armageddon and Apocalypse, like it has to begin with A apparently. And this is shooter with somewhat different design concepts, namely, for example, there's only one weapon. You can shoot magic missiles, which, as we shall soon see, actually look more like fireballs, but in any case, we have only a single weapon which has various enchantments available to it, like chain fire of some kind. I actually approached the game as if in the period and read the manual. It's supposed to have sound, but I haven't actually gotten it to make any sound. But considering the 1992 era, do think the overall sound experience would be somewhat limited, so I'm not terribly concerned that we are missing too much. So would say that let's try to start actual game. So enter new game, and this is of course, we have very elegant story, like equipped with your wits and the secret knowledge of magic with the K even, you venture forth on your quest to upset the dark schemes of Nemesis, your arch rival. Wow, very much for plot, at least more than R-Type, which had only like a single sentence when you start the game. And the town cemetery, so alright. And indeed we have only single type of a weapon available, the magic missile, which looks more like a fireball, as we shall soon see. And as this being, of course, in Fursuit, this most probably will be a case of die early, die often. But be ready with the Ctrl and C keys. As we can see, this is the weapon proper, so it looks more like a fireball, but the manual explicitly states it's a magic missile. So now we of course have some items in the starting area, like the potion, which actually heals you immediately to 100 health. Then we do have like treasure chest of more items and the chain fire things that are, and then we have a zombie, which by having shoot enough magic missiles at it, it actually collapses into a random heap of body parts, which is interesting. That sprite. So let's collect the rest of the items, and then next issue of course is that the manual doesn't either tell you how to get out of the starting area of the town cemetery. For example, these do nothing, and the sign is just there for show, and the nice kind of gargoyles or something, which I'm unsure if would give more or less unsettling atmosphere for the town cemetery. So what actually needs to be done, this was actually discovered in a test run to make sure that we actually get out of the very small starting area. So let's save here now that we have done the starting area, considering the Fursuit run die early, die often, and save early, save often. So let's save here. And now the what this one found during the test run is that you actually have to shoot the piece that looks like a window. It's actually destructible, and this was not mentioned anywhere. The zombies for some reason can move much faster sideways than forwards. They sometimes try to dodge the magic missiles. So, and again, the pieces that looks like windows are actually destructible. Surprisingly, this game is somewhat more advanced in some aspects than the Wolfenstein 3D. This is still like pretty much 1D in the sense that it actually is only a 2D game that looks like a 3D game, because there is no actual height. The roof is always the black sky with thunder. And there was also a bat. This actually has several kinds of enemies. This far we have seen the bats, and then we have text here, and we also see the text bar showing like we are viewing, advancing, retreating, turning, which isn't very useful information usually. But then we have the other text bar which shows kind of information about surroundings. So we are at a family plot in the cemetery. And let's see, we found a scroll with a hint. The gravedigger keeps the key to the garden with his pet bats. Alright, so we need a key, and we need to find the pet bats of the gravedigger apparently. So now we know to look for a key with the pet bats, and we saw a bat this way, so of course that could be of interest. Once we get rid of the zombie, let's again save here. And then let's see what's behind this window. And here we actually have at least one key, so this was clearly related to the gravedigger, very possibly. And as far as I know, this game actually does not have an auto map. Don't miss the purple gem in this region. Alright, do at once. It seems the enemy pathfinding is kind of... Alright, he was also dead, so that's good. So we have a door here with a lock. Maybe our key fits. You need a red key. No, it clearly doesn't. Alright, let's then save and keep exploring. So we should try and find a door that is useful with our fancy green key. This is where we came from, so it's not very probable it's here. We actually can't get out of the cemetery, like we could try to escape, but the door is blocked, so we can't actually leave the area. So let's take a look this way. And here we again have one of the destructible window tiles. And a couple of more opponents. And here we find another key, this time a red one. So now we have a red key, and should most probably save the game. So actually there's also some window pieces. Let's see what's behind those. For some reason the window pieces are always destructible, which is pretty clear to find areas once you actually discover that, because it's not mentioned in the manual. But then there of course is the area named weakened walls, so this should probably serve as a hint this window in turn is gray and it doesn't break, so now we have the green key, so we are ready to go into the area we tried to enter earlier, but didn't have the green key at our disposal. So here we have the door, and again we are reminded to not miss the purple gem. Save game also here, as do not accept to be quite optimal player like this, and you use a red key, alright, and it seems we have treasure chest and everything here. We have to be pretty careful because actually the shots also destroy power-ups. I know this from the manual. So, and we also found the purple gem, which is pretty nice. The mausoleum lies beyond the garden to the east. Alright. Let's use also a health potion, as we are at 64 health, so curing, and now we are back to full health. The potions actually always restore you back to full health. And save game here. So we want to go east, but we do not really have a compass. There's like the nice radar, but it's not very usually very necessary, because by the time you see things on the radar you already also most probably are facing them in combat, so at least we apparently can't get anywhere from the starting area, so let's look in the other direction. More destructible walls. That's again a grey window, so it apparently isn't destructible, and nothing else breaks here, so it mostly contained power-ups. We were getting hit from somewhere, but not totally sure where, but at least we found a door which probably is usable with the green key, so let's again save here, recycle the save game names as we have gotten a bit further. Clearly you use a green key and some bats, like immediately bats. Alright. Clearly the gravedigger liked bats, as we saw also in the message. And here we have the blue key, so level design wise the game looks a lot like Doom already, like that you have to have the right colors of keys. And with the bats also we clearly have ankle deep in guano, so yes, this has been the area with the gravedigger's pet bats. Now wondering where is the door to use the blue key. Open. So let's again save the game here and keep wandering. Garden entrance, so would believe the blue key would be useful here. Yes, entrance to the garden. You have arrived at the Garden of Tears, so we practically made it through the first level. A Garden of Tears to expose your fears. Alright, the slogan would be kind of probably not the one you want to see when visiting like a nice peaceful cemetery. Would suspect. Alright, those were all the items, and we have quite a few cure potions, so let's use one and save here because we passed the level, so now it's garden 1. Yeah, you are right, Ragabas. The 1992 is correct. This is more or less as explained in the beginning of the stream. This is a technical predecessor to both Wolfenstein 3D and Doom, and this was preceded by a much simpler game using the same technique called Hover Tank 3D. So yes, this is much less known predecessor to the better known legacy of ID Software. So yes, it could be a reference, not sure, but this in some ways considerably resembles certain design choices that were taken with Doom, including the use of various colored keys and the kind of Doom guy face in the... Yeah, the Doom guy face also kind of apparently came from this game. We also destroyed the power up, but oh well. Yeah, bats and zombies. I know from screenshots online that this game also actually later on has a red demon that looks very suspiciously like the one in Doom 1, so there is considerable ID Software legacy. That's like what, a super bat or something, at least it's much more tough. Twisting Headses, that's pretty good name. This game apparently doesn't have an auto map, at least didn't find mention of one in the manual, so that makes things a little bit more difficult, because you at times may get a little bit lost, especially trying to avoid and fight all the enemies. the amount of which also seems quite considerable. Let's save here. This is also playing in Fursuit gives a bit more edge to the game, certainly, because the somewhat limited but much better perception with this suit. I didn't choose the main wolf on purpose because that would have been rather difficult. With this suit actually do have pretty good peripheral vision all the way around the screen, but it's still a bit more demanding perceptually. This also has persistent corpses, and do think that there is a reason why the persistent corpses were dropped in the later games. The playfield gets really messy with the similar corpse sprites, so in that sense not surprised that the persistent corpses were not retained. Also remember reading that there were performance issues with the original Doom with the persistent corpses. Entrance to Mausoleum grounds. But wonder if that requires a key. You need a red key, so we actually found the exit from this level, but we need to find a key to be able to actually reach it. The description says unstable walls here, so let's try to like get something to happen to them. They do not seem very unstable. Save game here and wonder about like here, and then get confused at like it promisingly says unstable walls, but these do not seem very breakable. Usually it looks different where you can break them, like seen with the earlier ones, so more of would be nice to find the key. Here's a door, and it most probably also requires yellow key, alright. And here the power-ups are indeed destructible, which is supposed to make you less trigger happy, but it tends to be that there are much more of them available, considering we do have like 24, 13 and 7 health potions also, so the power-up availability is also pretty high. Here we were already the twisting heads, so that wall looked different and was destructible. The use of destructible walls is kind of alright, and there are quite a few opponents also. Not one but two treasure chests. but no keys. More unstable walls. From the amount of corpses, do you think we have already been here? Alright, probably also this game uses the destructible walls maybe a bit more than one would like. Here we have a key, so now we need a door for the yellow key. Do remember this door to get further require the red key, so we need to find another door. A bit different style of a game also for these. Haven't really done too much with shooters exactly due to the limitations of the suit also, but this is a very interesting one because this is very much the spiritual and to some degree technical predecessor of the later ID Software titles. Red key, so we are close to finishing the level. Now if can still find the way to the door we intended to take. Yeah, it's somewhat confusing. Also was wondering early in the stream that why it's always telling like what use it really is, because you usually are supposed to know what you're doing while playing. So it's kind of unclear also to me. Is it like a remnant of some technical concept that didn't come to fruition or something, because it isn't very useful. Yeah, exactly. Either debugging or some kind of technical concept that didn't mature. Ah yes, found the door, so we get to proceed to the Mausoleum. Save here and then go to the Mausoleum. Yes, we have arrived at the Mausoleum. grounds, and the game also decided to crash at that point, so uncertain if do have a broken copy or if it's something related to the execution environment, but we of course saw the game pretty well, and it continues into further areas from here, so in that respect this was a success, but certainly would have been nice to play at least a while more, but it clearly we actually had the game crash, so in that respect do think that we conclude here, and thank the Fox for watching us get lost in the Catacomb Abyss, and apparently also observe that the game didn't really survive. Maybe we can try once, like restart the whole game and see if we do any better by again going to the Mausoleum. So let's hide the game capture for a moment and restart the whole thing. Giving it at least the benefit of doubt. If it crashes every time, we need to probably look for a better copy if it's up to. And there we go. We should have again a running copy. Yes. So let's try once again. F4 restore Garden 5 and see what happens. Pass this way, yes. You have arrived at the Mausoleum grounds and crashed, so apparently this copy is broken in some respect. This of course was not really possible to find while testing for the stream, so sincere apologies for not being able to show more of the game, but we had a pretty good run of about half an hour of solid gameplay. So this concludes the stream for today. Thank you for watching. Good night, and we'll see tomorrow most probably with Neverwinter Nights 1 starting the campaign for another modern/recent game playthrough. So thank you for watching and good night.